Welcome to the Peach Pit Fitness Podcast, part of the Think Fit, Be Fit podcast network, where we put the power of dynamic fitness back in your hands, one mental rep at a time. Effective thinking for potent fitness. Welcome to the Peach Pit.
I'm so excited. Meredith, we're back.
We're back. I'm so excited too, Jen. Oh my goodness.
Yes. So we had to take a little break, y'all, because the holidays, I got my computer stolen and we didn't have an episode recorded. And here we are on a brand new, whatever this is, wonderful laptop. And I don't know, all kinds of New Year vibes.
Yes. Bring it on. Yes. 2022.
Yes.
So much promise.
Yeah, I feel that. And, you know, this topic is also really fun for both of us. I think it's fun for me because there's just so many options on this particular machine. And options for me means exploration, which means fun.
Absolutely agree, 100%.
So our pick of the month really is the Smith machine. I think most people have heard of it that have opened up some type of fitness magazine. It's definitely on the YouTube algorithm for people that like lunges and squats and hip thrust. So, you know, naturally, it's just a wonderful topic for our Peach Pit podcast. What is also interesting is that how this machine's in like every gym, the apartment gyms, the big box gyms, the little box gyms, whatever, boutique, not really boutique, but definitely even the mom pop gyms, like the one that I go to, which is, you know, a single one-off. And I don't know. So why are you looking forward to this Smith machine breakdown?
Well, I'll tell you, Jen, there's so much around the Smith machine, positive and negative. So anytime a piece of equipment gets vilified or condemned by people, I immediately want to explore that and just try to shed light on where is that coming from? Because like you said, you can definitely find videos on YouTube with people just like demonstrating exercises. This is how I use it. This is what you could use it for, etc. But then you also have a group of people, a group of videos that you could find where it's like, this is the worst piece of equipment. Don't ever use this piece of equipment. It's basically completely bashing it. So that always gives me pause because let's fully understand it first. Let's try to like really understand like why it was invented, how it has been modified, how we could modify it for our benefit. Who could this be beneficial for? When, in what circumstances could it be beneficial for them? There's so many different ways to unpack it, which makes it kind of a big topic because, we discussed even doing like lower body versus upper body exercises because there's so much variety and you see people using it in multiple ways. Yeah. So that's why I'm excited about it.
Yeah. I mean, the sheer utility of it that you could like as a trainer and a program writer, you possibly could write a program if they just have this one machine.
You could.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But that's only if you like understand all the items you just said, you know, have a respect for them at least.
Exactly. Like, I just think, right. Sometimes we get so caught up in what something isn't and what something can't do or comparing it to something else. Like a lot of people want to compare it to a free weight squat if we're using it for squatting.
Yeah.
But when we do that, when we try to be like, well, it's not that. Well, you're right. It's not that. But what is it? What can it be? What can it offer us?
Yeah. I mean, and like, first off, you know, it's fun doing this research, but also infuriating at the same time because of what, you know, those things you just said, like people having like absolutes and these, you know, opinions that I don't know. It's like, it's really futile. Like, it's a really strong stance on a piece of equipment that is so versatile like this is Oh, wow. That's what I mean. Like futile. It's like a waste of energy.
Yeah. Like this is a great opportunity to separate like what's objective versus what's subjective. Mm-hmm. And like with any piece of equipment or any type of tool we use for exercise or even like exercise trends, like we've talked about in the past, there's going to be my subjective feelings. Like I may like it for this reason and I may not, but like I'm just one person who, if I look at it objectively of what it has to offer and who my client or who might be using it, that might change.
Yeah.
Whether
exactly.
I like it or not.
Whether I like it or not. Exactly. You know, when we think about this in the context of it being a trend, I'd say it definitely is a trend because as we all know, like the peach is hot right now. And, you know, there's one subset of exercise enthusiasts that have really been using this piece of equipment, which are like the fitness and bikini competitors. That comes to mind. Well, I'm also like, you know, my gym, like but that's the majority of the people that you'll see on the Smith machine, which now there are 2 of at the DMV Iron. I'd say it's also trendy because of the sheer fact that this piece of equipment is literally in the United States, like in most gyms, I'd say. And then I'd also say it's trendy because there's, again, like so many videos. Although I looked for a podcast on Smith machines and we are pioneers, my friend. So
I mean, I already felt that, but
yeah. Which makes me think of something bigger about like the whole, like the entire conversation around equipment and exercise is that, you know, if we don't have the opportunity to like show them via like an audio presentation like we are doing, it seems worthless to most people, but it's not. You know, there's so much to learn. And so I don't know. I hope you guys get a lot out of this episode because it's very exciting for me and Meredith.
It's exciting for me too. Yeah, absolutely.
So let's get into the nature of this machine and, you know, where it came from.
Okay.
So I'm going to refer to you on this.
Okay. Well, so if we look at the history of this has been around for a while, since the 60s. So it originated from Jack LaLanne, who we know as being a pioneer, definitely like a fitness heavyweight in the cultural scheme of things. And he schemed up. He also invented the leg extension machine, which I actually need to go back and look at. Well, I need to go back and look at that because I think I have an image of a Smith machine, a leg extension that was like from the early 1900s.
Yeah.
But the book I was reading was saying that he had his own prototype for a leg extension. Anyway, he and his friend Rudy Smith, he was like writing on a napkin, drew out like a kind of a prototype of a Smith machine. And Rudy Smith said, "Do you mind if I take this to my friend Paul Martin, who is like an engineer?" And so Paul Martin developed this Smith machine, and they couldn't use Jack's name because there would have been royalties involved. So they used Rudy Smith's. So it became the Smith machine. Now, Rudy Smith was like the club manager of this gym called Vic Tanny's, which was like everywhere back in the day. And so I think that was probably part of the reason why it got to be in so many gyms across the country was because Rudy Smith was the manager of all of these gyms. And now we see today, it's like you said, it's in almost every gym, whether it's a mom and pop gym or an apartment gym. Part of the rationale is that it's safer because it's on this guiding rod. You can lock it at multiple places along its path. So it's not just this free bar. The idea is that there's a little bit more of a safety feature than just a regular free weight type of squat or, whatever your exercise. So that was kind of the history of where it came from, but you definitely see it. So like even like Planet Fitness often I think is exclusively Smith machines. Like it's hard to find a squat rack in just like a free weight squat rack. So I think there's that component. You also, like you said, bodybuilders might use it more for hypertrophy. And a lot of the people who kind of bash the Smith machine seem to do so because they think it really is only for people who have some kind of injury, or if you're looking for hypertrophy strength gains, like that kind of thing. But that if you are trying to be functional, so that's a whole nother word to unpack, but that it's there's no place for it, that it's not natural. Again, another loaded word. So you have these like two or at least groups of people who are like very anti anything that would be like locked into a fixed path. And then you have people who feel they can benefit from it.
Yeah. And I'd add another group of people who just usually end up dismissing the Smith machine are the people that they use it and then sometimes they'll like, overestimate that safety factor and load the machine up without, understanding the natural forces at play. And then, but that's, a part of the bigger problem here, which is, fitness culture. It's either we use the piece of equipment or modality until the wheels fall off and or overuse it and it's just like the best thing in the world. And then on the other end of that, you have complete dismissal of the modality or machine. And, welcome to Peach Pit Fitness. Sit down at our table to learn all the options. Like that's the whole point of this podcast, is to like give you guys that ownership of assessing the details, or maybe not even the details. You and I like the details. Assessing what's in front of you, assessing the options in just like a much more objective and gentle way. So,
yeah. This reminds me so much of the idea of like, be careful that you don't jump out of one box and into another box. Like, let's just open all the boxes. Let's be open to and see like where it fits in. It doesn't have to be one or the other. We can be a little more like open to the possibilities of all of these things, not just the Smith machine. But.
Yes. So again, so let's go into one of those options and one of these ideas. And like, I think this can help people understand more about the function of it, which is, is this a replacement for a barbell rack? Which like, it sounds like Planet Fitness even put into like their business plan, their operations plan.
And I think that was really from a safety perspective. I mean, I have to assume, or like not wanting people to steal. I'm not sure. I mean,
or slam the ground.
Yeah. Yes, that's a big thing that they have there. Like, no, have you ever gotten the clunk alarm or whatever? Have you seen
I've never stepped foot in a Planet Fitness.
No. Yeah. Okay. Well, you're missing out on a cultural. No. But yeah, So some people take it as far as to not even have that. But I think that I would be curious to talk to them actually. Like, I'd be curious to get it if there's a statement on why that is the case.
So that's like a good thing to like assess. And, that comes down to like the structure of the machine is, so let's go into like those like main structural points of the Smith machine.
Okay.
So it is what looks like a barbell. And it is, it's probably, also there are different actual machines that are called a Smith machine.
Yes. That feel different, that even with like the standard weight bar is different. So it's typically not like a 45-pound barbell. It might be 25. Some of them are like counterbalanced so that doesn't even feel like they're like, you almost have to pull it down if you don't have any weight on the sides because it's. Yeah.
So I have access to 3 of these machines.
Okay.
They're all different.
Okay.
The one in our building is like you just mentioned, it has like the counter balance. So that might feel like you could kind of bounce it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Is that a good way to put it?
Push it up and it would just like slowly come back down towards you.
And so that's a design of that particular make. And then today, for the first time, for just this episode, you guys, I went, off my regular path.
Oh my gosh. I thought that was like from a different day.
That was. But there's 2 machines at the gym.
Okay.
So the one I use today is Atlantis.
Okay.
Holy hell, heavy.
Heavy. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Is that angled?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. And the other one that I took the video on and I put it in my story this morning is a bit angled. So they have a vertical one, they have an angled one. And I don't remember many other details. I think the angled one is the closest to, I think, the original Smith machine. What do you think? I'm just guessing.
I think it was originally created as a vertical.
Okay.
And then I think over the years, some companies have made an angled version. I think the amount of angled is typically 5 to 7 degrees, depending on the company.
Yeah. That's 7 degrees.
It's a lot. There was one at a former gym that I went to that had a pretty severe angle, and but again, it depends on what you're using it for. It might be fine for certain things, and you might not like it for other things.
Okay. Yeah. So I think vertical or angled, that is one of the biggest pieces for me to I'm looking at and to figure out if I'm going to use this for a certain body part or exercise.
Yes. And which way you might face. If you are using it for angled, that might change. And it's not always set up the way that you'd think it would be. So like typically people want to face the mirror and if the angle is the opposite way, depending on what you're doing again, but like if you're squatting and you want it to kind of move backwards, kind of in line with your hips, as your hips are going backwards, then you'd want the angle to be going that way versus coming forward. But then there's implications in terms of wrist flexion, wrist extension of how you're going to lock the machine.
Yes. So that's the next feature, I think, the swiveling of the bar.
Yes.
It functions as a safety feature because that's how it locks into place. And then the second part of that is, there's a potential problem with some people because of the lack of being able to control the swivel in certain positions. I know if we want to do like a frog pump or a hip extension type of exercise, that could definitely be a problem, especially if the angle is in the design of that machine.
Yeah.
A swivel, it could just catch you off guard as well.
I think part of it is like the comfort level. Like the more you use it and get used to how it operates and what you need to do and at what point you need to do it, you can kind of get better at those things and predicting, when I'm at this point or when I fatigue at this, I lose my concentration on like holding the swivel in the right place. So like sometimes and obviously if you have a trainer or somebody that can guide it for you and make sure that's not getting caught. But that's the thing is you don't want it to catch at an inopportune time when you're like not expecting it. And it's like, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's just, I
certainly don't like surprises in my set.
I don't either.
No,
I want to just like be able to focus on the set and not have, it's, I don't know.
Yeah.
Especially if you have like any kind of weight on there, it can really, throw you off if it.
Yeah. And then so we have the bar swiveling is a feature of this. We have the path of motion, which is going to be aligned to that vertical or angled thing. And then we have the model of the Smith machine that has I don't know, what's the mechanism for the
counterbalancing?
The counterbalance.
Yeah. I don't know how that works. I'm not sure how that functions. That would be and maybe different companies, it's different for different companies. Like some kind of like bearing system.
So somebody's going to have to volunteer their Smith machine for us to open.
Yes, we can like dissect it. Oh, the other piece though that I really, to me, a make or break for the Smith machine, or whether I like it or I don't like it for a particular exercise or not, but is the amount of friction that I feel. And this has more to do with the maintenance of it. I think there may be some companies where they have a better structure. They have a better, like the pieces that make it up are higher quality. So it's not as much of a factor, but I can't stand friction where I don't want friction. So like, that's the thing when you're dealing with a free weight, there's just no friction and that feels really good. And you get used to that. So, and there are Smith machines that I've been on that felt really good, but then there are some that I've been on where it feels like you're pushing more weight or you're almost having to pull it down because of the friction, not because of like a counterbalance in the bearings. And that doesn't feel good.
Yeah. I feel like with the exercise that I was doing today, you could really feel the friction at that change of direction. Right. And that's, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like I want it to be challenging where I want it to be challenging and not, I want it to, So if you're
it just might not feel as good. But again, I think that that's more specific about the either the brand of the machine or the how it is maintained.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give the Atlantis has that would have a higher friction quotient
component or something. Coefficient of coefficient of friction.
So if you're going to start a program on a Smith machine, I'd say you'd have to spend 20 to 30 minutes just kind of playing with it before
seeing what your Smith machine has to offer you. Because like you said, you have 3 different Smith machines in 2 different locations. And so each one of those you might like for something different.
Yeah. And they put in that upper body version. It's like a seated military press.
Yeah.
Angling the other way.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Well, and that's the thing. So for the chest exercises and more shoulder type of things, that was definitely one of the things that comes up is having that angled path. So it's more balanced over, it can come down over your chest and kind of balance up over your shoulder as you're returning to a starting position.
Yeah. And I mean, as far as like my preference, I would prefer a dumbbell setup to a Smith machine setup for my chest pressing.
For upper body stuff for chest pressing.
Yeah, maybe not for overhead pressing. It's a little different because you can change your body position under the bar versus like if I'm supine on a bench, you can get stuck. I mean, I know I could get stuck in a way. Yeah.
Well, and again, so I think that's an important thing to mention because you said it a while ago, not saying that you would do this, but if the idea is that I can really load this thing up because it's safer, like we really have to be careful about that. Actually, one of the things I did come across was a lawsuit because somebody was trapped underneath of it and they died from I know that's a terrible thing, but and again, that could happen with a barbell too. Like we know situations where that's happened. So we always have to be mindful that we're lifting responsibly. Nothing is like a free pass to say, just load it up as much as you want and don't be cautious and mindful. And if you're going to do something that's a little crazy, having a spot or having people around that can help you. So,
yeah, a little bit of off topic here, off the structure of it. But if we go back to like the YouTube barbell bro, they really like to say that like certain machines like don't allow for your abdominals to activate and your core to activate.
Cool.
Yeah, really. Yeah. And I think that's one of these traps you can get into again with this machine and a little bit too much trust in the Googling and
Well, and what are we using it for? Are you using it for your abdominals? Are you using it? And if because it's true. If your goal is practicing being able to maintain a barbell over your feet and stabilize that. If your goal is that, then the Smith machine, like if all you ever did was Smith machine stuff, when you go to a free barbell, it's going to feel different. That makes sense. That's doesn't mean you couldn't still practice certain aspects of things on a Smith machine and then also practice certain aspects of things with a barbell.
Totally. In fact, I would be very open to like a workout or a program that had both in one workout.
Right? Yeah. I mean, I think that that's a pretty cool way to get multiple.
Like, hold on, we'll be right back. Let's go try that.
No, but I mean, I think that's what's so like unfortunate, I think, is when we like dismiss something completely as being just wrong or bad or non-functional, or there are so many things we're missing out on that it can offer.
Yeah. I'm going to put my stake in the ground and like just say the word functional or non-functional is kind of gross. And I'm over it.
Me too. I'm definitely over that.
So I think, did we miss anything about the structure? I think one of the things that gets brought up a lot is if you're comparing it to a barbell squat, there's not a lot of options for the trunk flexion. I mean, you could set it up, and then the angled bars, like the angled setup is going to be different from the vertical setup in that claim, in that regard. So honestly, if you hear somebody just kind of bashing it again for like not having the option of moving forwards or backwards, it's also like you and I in the workup to do this episode, I think we named like 50 exercises, like lungy, squat, hip thrusty, that you could do with a Smith machine, so.
One of the things I do want to mention, because I think the place where the Smith machine shines is that you don't have to balance the weight over your feet. So if I have a free barbell, if I do not want to fall over, have to keep the barbell placed directly over my feet. I can't move my trunk. I can maybe move it a little more forward, but depending on how much weight I can't really, if I want to stay more upright through my spine, I have to do it within the window that my base of support offers and the way that my particular limbs fold up. And that's different for each of us.
Yep.
So one of the things is so there are people who will do a free weight squat and like never really be able to feel their quads. They always feel their lower back because the way that they fold up, they have to lean really far forward or, so a person that has that structure might be able to go over to the Smith machine where they don't have to balance the load directly over their feet, maybe shift their feet a little forward, may be able to maintain a more upright spine and let their knees and drive a little more forward and be able to feel more quadricep stuff. So even within the squat, I have more options potentially to set up in a way to feel different things. If I want a more glute centered squat, if I want a more quad centered squat, if I want a more trunk focused, front squat, but I can't really maintain this front squat position very well with just the barbell. Like to me, my options actually increase in a Smith machine as compared to a barbell squat.
Yep, exactly. Yes. Opened up somebody's world.
I mean, it's so right. Like it pains me to see people bashing it because then I just wonder, well, maybe you're just not seeing, or maybe you haven't met the client who really could benefit because there are people who really could feel things that they've never felt before and work things in a way where they do feel more empowered and like, wow, no, this is awesome. Like, I really like the way this feels. They couldn't feel with a barbell.
I feel like there's another podcast out there that are like two chefs. And they're like,
I can taste this good.
Yeah. They're like talking about some
cardamom with coriander.
Yep. Weird ass, like ugly root mushroom thing. And they are just so upset that people like, weed kill it instead of eating it. Yeah.
It grows under cow poop, but it's beautiful and it tastes so good. How can you not ever experience the...
Yeah. So that's the kind of joy we're trying to bring to your life.
I mean, I feel joy talking about it. I feel a little freer than I did when we first started this conversation.
Oh, so good. So I did poll people on Instagram this morning. I said, okay, Smith machine, love to hate it. It's for me. And then it depends.
What did they say?
What did I say? I said, not sure, it depends. That was like the correct answer. I can go look.
Okay.
I'll let it keep. I'll let it keep running.
Yeah. Will you post it later? Post the results later? Okay. Yeah.
Because even just a few hours it's been up, it's almost even,
Oh, so, interesting. See, that's so interesting.
Yeah. Which, I love it. And so I hope people keep commenting and, because we want to know. If we look over into like the whole other part of the, exercise industry, we have research, strength and conditioning, and there's definitely, I don't want to say there's more than a handful of studies that have looked at the Smith machine and done EMG, type of monitoring to really ask these questions about core activation, quadricep activity. Yeah. And I mean, there's no, and this is just more, I think, fuel for our mission here. There's no real stance on this, you know? And some of the studies I looked at, there was just like no real significant difference between EMG activity and, you know, different squat setups. So the only one that really like stood out was when they're comparing EMG activity of quads and abdominals on a barbell squat versus a Smith machine squat. And honestly, even if you don't get that all that muscle activity, that's not a bad thing. Like a muscle gets stronger from tension placed on it. And, you know, the more that you can, the more that I can focus on my particular areas, the more, I don't know, it's like the more focus, the more control that I have in the overall process. Right.
Yeah.
And, you know, I go to the gym for results, like, and fun and family. And like, it's just like such an important place for me. And so for me, having exercises that are within my control and like being able to, you know, predict the outcomes and all that stuff, those are the things that are important for me. So it doesn't, this whole thing here that I'm trying to say is, yes, there are claims based on research, but on the bigger picture of research being done with EMG or electrical activity and the Smith machine, there's no real consensus. So, I mean, it's not worth your time, of course. It's always interesting to see how these things are set up. And if, you know, somebody can continue to do work on it to, you know, probably help, you know, some group of people. But the things that take away from our critical thought when it comes to exercise, you know, I'm just like not going to point people in that direction to actually help them with this longevity piece that you and I are so dedicated to. But I feel like, what else did we not cover on the Smith machine?
I think we hit on a lot of different points. We definitely didn't go into like, much in terms of like specific exercises, but I mean, we mentioned several, but to your point of just like exploration and like what is fun about going to the gym and sort of having that be a regular part of your life. Like, it's so fun to explore these things and to have other machines so like for somebody who wants to make fitness and health and exercise a part of their life for the rest of their life, being open to equipment and what it can offer you can like be a whole other chapter in this whole story of your exercise relationship, you know, of your exercise journey. So instead of discounting things at face value, the exploration and the finding joy in like what something has to offer, I think is an important piece of like wanting to continue to go back to the gym on a regular basis.
Yes. Ching.
What's your favorite? What's your favorite exercise to do in the Smith machine?
I will tell you, and I will tell everyone, but the thing I was going to point to was if the audience, I mean, you and I could definitely go further down this path of like looking at exercises, but I think we need feedback from our audience to be like, tell us, you know, because we could definitely look at deadlifts. I think that's one of I'm very fascinated with the deadlift, a hip hinge setup on the Smith machine. I really like a one-legged deadlift on the Smith machine because you don't have to balance. Yes. And you get a nice lengthening. For me, I do love deadlifts, but I need wraps. If I don't have them that day, like that's going to be a better option for me too. And so I like one-legged squats, not necessarily split squats, but I like to be able to do a single leg type of squat exercise. And I mean, it's a really nice place for me to be able to get quad and glute and it seems to go for me like really nicely with a leg press, a squat, and it kind of just fits into like that tempo that I like when I'm in. Because if I'm doing a leg press, I like being into like a 6 to 8 rep range, work up to it, not jump onto it. And so like then like the Smith machine like offers just a nice, it's like a different metabolic stimulus for like that setup for me. But yeah, I would like to I'd like to explore some deadlifts. But that I haven't done that much. What else do I like to do on there? I used to like to do isometrics on there.
Oh, cool. That's fun.
In a hip deadlift position.
Okay.
Just, doing isometric contractions at a lengthened position for the hamstrings.
I'm sure there are certain models, but like block it from the top. You can like, there are often ones where they have different ways to block it from the bottom. Like
so you don't want to push up under.
Yeah. So that would be so cool for like isometrics.
So yeah, I guess yes, exactly. And the one in my building has that. And then, so I do like them for isometrics. I haven't explored like the hip extension, like on a bench prone exercises.
Yes.
And then I haven't explored them for hip thrust either.
I love them for hip thrust.
Yeah.
I am all about that. But that would be
your
really,
number one?
Like that coupled with like a hip, like a glute hip circuit of like hip thrusts, one-legged deadlifts, and like a prone, not frog pump, but like extension thing would be kind of a cool.
Widers.
Yeah, maybe a little wider, just like focusing on the, like not trying to put my feet in that position, but like.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to watch you do that. I'll get my picnic
like
basket.
To do that. That would be the only, my only issue is like, so I might be like the laziest person, the laziest workout person. I swear to God. Because then I'm like thinking, okay, well, if I have enough weight on there for the hip thrust, then I've got to take the weight off to do the one-legged deadlift. And then I've got what weight am I going to, Yeah. But if I could have like 3 Smith machines right next to each other and just have them all set up, can we make that happen?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's like a badge of honor to say like, this is the end product. This is the outcome. And I'm lazy.
I swear to God that like, that's why, I'm going to, maybe I'll write a book called like The Laziest Workout Person.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think it's like, I think people would be curious about that. Because fitness for consumption is always using the word efficiency. So we could just be like, no, we're lazy. But we do the mental work on the other side. So it's not that lazy.
Yeah. I mean, efficiency is such a, that would be a whole nother episode too. Cause like, I would love to talk about efficiency and all the different ways we can imply that and what that can mean for workouts and things like that. So.
All right.
Just food for thought.
Yeah, that is. I'm going to grab the poll and see where everybody's at.
Yes. Okay.
All right. So we're back to our poll. We had 18 people and respond to it. It's just been up for like 4 hours. So that's pretty good. The least amount is Smith machine. Love to hate it.
Okay.
And I let it, some people might interpret that as like they like the punishment
right
of going hard. I thought of it more of an R context as, there's just a lot of haters. And then our highest response was what I put as like the green one, the correct one. It depends or not sure.
Okay.
Because I feel like if you're in that category, you're just open to listening.
Yeah.
Right. Especially if you're going to answer it.
Sure.
And then the least one is just yes for me.
Okay.
So
there aren't very many people who just said yes for me.
Correct.
Okay.
Which it sounds like, where my Instagram is in good company. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we're open to thinking.
Yeah. No, I was going to say like you definitely have people that are curious and open to exploring for sure.
And then somebody answered the sticker. What did he say? Smith is good. I like it for hip thrust, presses, split squats mostly. Okay.
Cool. I like it.
Good.
I like it. I can get on board with that.
Yeah. All right. I love that. So for the audience, if you guys like reach out, let us know if you want us to go into a certain type of exercise on the Smith machine. I feel like I've already talked us into it.
I would love that. I think that'd be cool.
So then our fun little segment, this whole thing is fun, but our cherry on top fun is our throwback item, which is going to be the great Jack LaLanne, the inventor of the Smith machine, which is, I don't know, it's just so awesome. So I don't know, do you want to start or I can start? I found a quote and I'm definitely putting this on the Instagram feed.
Yes.
Oh, this is just beautiful. The only way you can hurt the body is not to use it. Jack LaLanne.
Oh.
Yeah.
I like that.
And so for me, when I go back to the 90s and I think about Jack LaLanne, I also think about my grandmother, who was an avid exerciser. She had blood infusion induced diabetes back when that was a thing. So it's kind of like a thing of the past now where people get diabetes from blood infusions. So it ends up being like an autoimmune condition. So she had gotten diabetes from her youngest son during the birth.
Wow.
And she had a blood infusion and she ended up with diabetes.
Oh my goodness.
So she was an avid exerciser and a swimmer.
Okay.
And so I know Jack LaLanne for his like swimming, and that she kind of sold me on him as this like Big Bird character in my life. Like he's like the spokesperson for lifting weights and doing swimming and running and just like, you know, eating vegetables and juicing. And so I think she kind of followed his stardom.
Okay.
And so I have really wonderful memories of him, and that probably has, you know, still has its imprint on me for sure, I would say. And, you know, I think as a whole, we can learn a lot from his story. He was on infomercials. He had a couple movie runs, I think. He had a television show that lasted a really long time. And he died at 96. Wow. And then, of course, the juicer. I was really into infomercials when I was a kid.
Okay.
Which
you remember him on infomercials?
With the juicer.
With the juicer. I don't know if I remember that.
That's how I remember him.
Oh my gosh. That's so cool.
So, yeah, what are your throwbacks for him?
Well, like you said, I mean, he's such a giant in the fitness industry and was so popular. And I don't even think I really understood like how popular and how ubiquitous he was. He was really responsible for a lot of the different like inventions and pushing, like one of the first people to come into people's homes, be on television, espousing, the benefits of exercise and wellness and health. And, he himself grew up as being a pretty sickly child. He had like a lot of issues that he overcame through diet changes and weightlifting. And so I think he's such a great figure that probably like we don't hear as much obviously about today. And so it was cute though, like doing the research for the Smith machine, because Rudy Smith and he were good friends and their wives were good friends. And it sounded like they had like a real camaraderie. And I think that was part of my feeling too, was like, he just seemed like he wanted to bring these options to people, like really try to create possibilities for people and in the exercise space when there wasn't a lot of that available. Like up until that point, when machines were being invented, people had plates to just load onto bars. It wasn't like this variable resistance, this like, how do we take something and make it expand upon what we already are doing in exercise? And so I think we really have to give him credit for trying to, whether you like the Smith machine or you don't like it, to even try to create something that brings a way to another method to people as an exercise device is a pretty cool thing.
And I think like this deserves a huge shout out, is that really success for our health like comes from the choices, the small little things that are presented to us every day. It's really not about like huge transformations and Biggest Loser type of excitement, really, because being healthy in a lifestyle manner is not that totally exciting sometimes. It's just about the little things versus like the life-changing transformation storyline is exciting. If I'm at a grocery store, well, I'd have to go to like a regular grocery store. Man. Okay. So I don't go to many regular grocery stores anymore, but that's not the point. The point is there's all of the magazines in the line at Target too.
Yeah.
Where it's like Amy lost 86 pounds.
Right.
And like, those are still there. And I'm not like upset about that, but I just don't think success is really about that. And I think Jack LaLanne is like such a symbol of the small everyday habits, because if you listened to some of his stuff, and that I mean I went on YouTube and watched some old it was black and white. I mean this guy was born in like the the 20s. He was and he really talked about eating vegetables every day. He talked about eating 2 meals a day. Not that that's for everyone, but that's very revolutionary in a way.
Right. Back then.
He talked about every day doing strength training. He talked about swimming or walking, and the vegetable thing. He was like the voice of reasoning for eating vegetables in my grandmother's house. Like that was like the thing. So I don't know. So, and then he was also kind of known for like waking up really early and doing a bunch of jumping jacks and push-ups. Okay. That was like a caricature on the TV show. Like it was like a waking up early thing. So anyways, I think that like just deserves a huge shout out.
Absolutely.
And like the Smith machine, when we talk about like pieces of equipment, like this thing can go in any single gym, and multiple different types of people can use it. Meredith just splashed up this amazing book with legit bodybuilders using the Smith machine. And it was just, so it's just one of those things. It's designed with a different type of body, every body in mind. And like when you have something like that at your disposal, you have so many choices at your disposal, and therefore you're like setting yourself up for success in a way, so I think Jack LaLanne's just a heartthrob. So he's our honorary spiritual advisor.
Oh, I love that.
I want to look up his birth chart.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a great idea. I know. I
do this often. He's a Libra.
Is he really?
Yeah.
When's his birthday?
Hold on. It's September 26th.
Oh, okay.
Capricorn Moon. Oh, loves the hard work. Here we go.
Yeah, there you go.
Does it have a time? Time is unknown.
Born in 1913.
Yeah. Exactly. I this website's not something I use often, so I can't totally read his chart. But Moon and Capricorn. That makes so much sense to me now. He's got a lot of aspects to Saturn, which is going to make you a hard worker. It's like absolutely. Anything where you have a lot of Saturn, you have that work is part of the journey. So I don't know. Those are my takeaways. He's our spiritual advisor now. Okay.
He at 40, he swam the length of the Golden Gate Bridge underwater in frigid 55-degree water, wearing 140 pounds of scuba gear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's another incident where he did like the Alcatraz swim with like handcuffs.
Wait, what the? That's crazy. All right. Yeah. Yes, he gets the award today.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Wow.
So anyways, I think that's an awesome way to wrap this up. That was so fun. And again, audience, let us know what you think we should dive into here, because it's so fun. And there's so many options. Like there's no really stumping us because we will dive into it. We just might have more questions instead of just saying, I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah. That's like the enemy to the healthy outcomes is just dismissing something you don't know much about. And I will die on that hill. Anyways. All right. Thank you so much for a great episode. And thank you guys for being here. Catch us on socials, of course. And, if you want to pop into our live and talk about your Smith machine victories or miseries, we're here for it. And anything else?
I think that's it. I'm excited. I'm excited for the live. Hear what people come up with.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you guys then. Have a good one.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening and being a part of the Think Fit, Be Fit podcast network. Don't forget to subscribe and share this podcast with your friends and family. If you're interested in further resources, check out the show notes or visit our website, thinkfitbefitpodcast.com.